Hello and welcome to Your Tru Awakening. This is the podcast where we dive deep into what it means to live your purpose and create a life that fuels your true self. I'm your host, Sandra Tru, and I'm here to guide you on a journey of soulful exploration and inner mastery. Together, we're here to unravel layers and challenge status quo. My intention is to unlock the wisdom that helps you shine from the inside out. And so each week I want to bring you a conversation with some of the most inspiring leaders and spiritual mentors who are lighting the way for a more conscious, more abundant, more joyful life. From ancient wisdom to modern practices, we'll explore transformative tools and inspiring stories to help you live, love, and lead authentically. So whether that's you at a turning point, or you're in a moment where you're stepping into your power, or simply seeking more depth and meaning in your everyday moments, this is your invitation to step out of the ordinary and break free from old patterns and awaken your true potential. So if you're ready to laugh and reflect and expand, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hey, I'm super excited to introduce you to a dear sister of mine. And we've had this magical reconnection recently, traveling to sit with some of our teachers, the Yawanawa family. They come from the middle of Acre, of Dea Sagrada in the jungle, in the Amazon. They're beautiful medicine carriers of joy. They really carry the joy. And so we had this gorgeous experience of going deep into the medicine space, but really of tapping into our own medicine and what happens when we come together, because we are allowing ourselves to lead with our desire. And that's the conversation we really want to have to you. What happens when we let desired lead, and how to awaken inspiration after we get burned down, or we are burnt out, whether we are overworking or overdoing, or we're simply going through a moment of our life that just is taking the life out of us and we want to move towards a more delighted, joyful state that is true to who we are. So a little bit about Carolina, which is just a little bit, because she's really a wizard, and the more that I get to know her, the more depth that I receive from her. Dr. Carolina Soto, and she's a medical researcher, a yogi, she's a numerologist, she's a Yotish Vedic astrologist, and essentially her goal, and really what she walks, is with this beautiful capacity to merge science with the sacred. This is just some of the surface work that she does. She's also a fantastic, beautiful mystic, and a woman that really walks a path of integrity. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, Caro.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for the opportunity to be on your podcast. This is actually such a dream come true because, as someone who has a high intellect, I always knew that there was something more that was lurking deep within me to be explored, to actually to allow that expression of me to come forth. And I sat many times with plant medicine, asking the creatrix, asking the divine universe to work its magic through me, to use me as a conduit to bring other people into a conscious state. And I wasn't getting all the right answers. I became a yoga teacher. I followed all these different paths, sound healer, theta healer, but nothing was really resonating with my soul until I found Yotish. And then everything clicked. And talk about alignment, and that's really what I hope to convey today is, through asking the creator, and through, deep reverence to and respect for the cosmic intelligence that is source, that is God. When we ask with deep reverence, what is it? What is our path? The answers come. But in this day and age, when we're so busy with our work, we are in that rat race, juggling everything from children to our careers to living in a male dominant world. It's really hard for us to sit in with ourselves and really check in and introspect and listen to what our soul really wants to align with. And today is a really beautiful day to align our intellect, our mind, with our soul's journey, because in Vedic astrology, today is the day that the moon is exalted. It's in the sign of Taurus, and the sun is also exalted. The sun represents the soul, and the moon is the prism by which you see the world. So this is a day to merge both your soul's guidance with your intellect. So what a beautiful day to sit here and speak with you and have a conversation.
It's so amazing to have this conversation also selfishly because this is a great day specifically for my chart. And also, I just want to say to what you add to what you just shared, which was that I witnessed that in you. I was so excited to have this conversation with you because I witnessed and I know that your path has been of complete commitment and grit and doing the thing and just like staying consistent, and all of your life, really, what you have built shows it. And I kept saying, Caro, I see you completely light up in this field as an astrologist. There's so much generosity and desire for you to just let people know that there is a map. There is a map of how they can learn, even if they haven't realized what is the thing that I desire that can help them be like posts around the way to say, hey, this is working for me or this might not work for me. And what's so beautiful is that every person that I've seen you have these conversations with, they feel it as truth. It really aligns for myself too, which has been so beautiful because when we're talking about letting desire lead, oftentimes our mind gets in the way. And our mind wants to tell us, oh, it's not that big, or it doesn't matter, or it's just it's a silly thing because maybe I want to do a dance class and I'm an adult, and like, how is that responsible? And so we have all this conditioning around what following our desire means. Like, it's supposed to be this big thing. I also believe it's in the little things because we don't know where that thing will lead us. Because like you started doing Kundalini, and then that led to, can you tell us a little bit about how that path kind of led you
Well,
to
of
here?
course, sure. I knew that, again, because I had seen my chart and I am a Leo ascendant. The sun is my ruler. The sun is in the ninth house. Ninth house is all higher wisdom, spirituality. So I knew it was a path of deep spiritual wisdom. But how was I going to then bring these gifts or finish my dharma in this lifetime? And all that basically came with trial and error, but really in states of mindfulness, going deep within every day, praying or chanting mantras, doing the yoga, aligning really with my soul's desire through mindfulness. I think that's the key, is when you're so busy and when you're doing 100,000,001 things and you're constantly on your phone, you're not having those precious moments with yourself, with your soul. Because once you have like a meditation practice, whether it's like 10 or 20 minutes a day, that right there will give you the hints, you'll be guided through the soul work. Journaling is also another tool that I use. And finally, when it came to it, it was actually a reading. It was a Yotish reading that I got in India. And I almost fell off my chair because the accuracy was just so like beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And I thought, oh my God, I have to be able to disprove this because I'm a scientist. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to disprove this because how can they know? And what was taught to me is that past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. 75% of your chart is based on past life karma, and there's 25% that's left up to free will. But a lot of the times, all that is going to happen in your life is almost already predestined. There's ways that you can kind of mitigate some of the way that the karma will come to you. But you knowing that, you can kind of sit back and kind of let the universe do its thing, because there's a divine order to everything. And if you know that it's the divine will of the creator for all these things to happen, you kind of just sit back and you kind of just visualize everything that's happening in your life, whether it's good or bad, as a spectator. You're like, okay, no judgment, just okay, let's bring it, bring on the lessons, because that's how the Vedic chart should be read, not in the you know, good or bad or good and evil. It's just, it is what it is. And it's based on your karmic imprint from past lives and how that's going to manifest in this life.
What I love so much about it is that you essentially started to follow your desire, and it was almost in one of those signposts that the signpost itself became like the answered prayer. The answer prayer, just like following what do I want to do, right? Even if you're feeling like, for me, I know that it's, even if I feel like going to try something out, and I know what my calling is, but it doesn't make sense, if I allow myself to go and feel what is giving me fullness, like aliveness, what is giving me, one of my mentors, Michelle, speaks about it like energy richness, right? What is giving me like rich energy, whether that is going deeper into the exploration of my psyche, which I can't stop exploring, so much of the work that I do,
Yeah.
or like going into exploring a creative art, or like you are going all the way to India and doing the deeper soul work, and following what do I want, what do I desire, that actually led you to do this beautiful work that you do. And so when we start thinking about what is letting your desire lead, is so important that you start thinking about what is not your desire also. What are you
Yeah.
not desiring in your life? What is the thing that is stealing your energy, right?
Yeah.
What is the thing in your life right now that is like poor energy, that you're doing because you feel that you should, that you must, or that you have to? And to start allowing yourself to go into the seat of the creator of your life, the creatrix even of your life, if you're a woman, and know that you're the one that chooses, that you're the one that creates, that you're the one that has the capacity to decide. And that is with the little things too, like what's giving me aliveness, right? Which is so much of what I hear in your story, because there's so much that you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. It's whatever invigorates you and
Mm.
whatever you can do, even if you're not getting paid for it. That's how you know that you are in alignment, because it's something that brings you so much joy and something that comes easy to you, like second nature. That's how you'll know that you've hit the jackpot. Because for me, yeah, I put myself through all the schooling. I became a doctor. Work was very fulfilling, but there was something more that I knew that I hadn't yet explored, something that would really help other people. Because I've always been with the mindset of being of service to others. So how can I be of the best service? Again, for me, it was going down this path of Vedic astrology, because Vedic astrology is really such a wonderful tool that will allow you to even see what's going to come next month, next year. It really has a good way to prognosticate when you'll get married, when it's incredible, because it's based on the dasha system, the Vinchatory dasha system. And the Vinchatory dasha system has to do with the planets and the cycles of each planet, and it's based on the moon's placement when you were born. Wherever the moon was, there is these nakshatras that are smaller zodiac signs within the bigger of the signs. And I don't want to lose you, but essentially the nakshatras are, smaller subsegments within the bigger signs. So they can be thought of as smaller zodiac signs. And so there's 27 of them. And each of the 27 nakshatras then are further divided into 4. And when you multiply 4 times 27, you get 108. And you as a mystic, 108, such a beautiful number seen all throughout the universe. When you take the diameter of the sun and you multiply that 108 times, that's literally the distance between the earth and the sun. There's also 108 marma points through our body, which are the meridians, exactly where the joints and the nerves, they all innervate. And that's where all the energy is being channeled into our body from the cosmic forces, because as the Hermetic principle says, as above, so below. So we're so interwoven with the cosmic planets, and they are basically a part of, or they channel their energy through those meridian points, through the marma points. And when I discovered all this, I was in awe. And first of all, when you're in a state of awe, that's when the creator's working through you. Because, ever seen a child, and children are so closely to godly nature because they have just come from the creator. especially those first 7 years of life, they look at everything with a state of wonder, with a state of awe. So that's how I was with Vedic astrology. I just couldn't stop reading it. I would read and study for hours on end. So that's how you'll know you have found your gift, whether it is through dancing, whether it's through creative expression, through drawing, through painting, through, singing. For you, for example, doing like work with women, you are a Taurus descendant and you're ruled by Venus, and Venus is in your seventh house, which has to do with partnerships, alliances, business partnerships, and also marriage. So all your work will always be directed to partnerships and alliances, and Venus will always be there with the feminine energy. So you can look at a chart and really see where a person's gifts are. And that's what's so beautiful about Vedic astrology, is that, whether we like to admit it or not, these planetary influences are so interwoven with our day in, day out through our lives. And when you actually have the blueprint in front of you, that's when it becomes easier.
Yeah, I love maps of consciousness. I am a collector of maps of consciousness from different ways, from integral thinking of like religions and mysticism in all ancient history, modern science. And what I love so much about Vedic astrology, which I'm really learning to love, is that a map of where you are in the stars. It's like your own map.
Yeah.
And the more that I go into it with you, it has been such a delight to just get validation for how I feel like I'm really in my own, like following the right path, just following the thing. I found the map for me was just that, like what is giving me, I love the word that you use, um, but what is giving me like vigor, right? Like what's invigorating, what is giving me like that charge. And I was lucky enough, even though many times it felt painful, is that I couldn't do anything else but what gave me the charge, right? And so today you were speaking about wonder, and I was just speaking with my client Kelly about how when we're in that spirit of wonder, which is something she's getting into, is when the opening happens, right? And we're speaking about when inspiration can enter you, because that's how we move out of doing the things that we feel enslaved to. We feel like we have no way out. It's like, unless we are creating space for our life, which oftentimes for a culture like you were sharing, that is a masculine culture, meaning that our value has been given to our productivity, to how much we produce. It can feel like we don't have time to create space. And I want to invite you to consider that you don't have time not to create space. There's not enough time for you to waste a life doing something that it's not turning you on, inspiring you, giving you free energy, giving you a liveness of spirit, because that's essentially when we can feel that our soul is speaking to us. I was sharing at the women's, one of my teachers, Thomas Yeoman, he speaks about it as breadcrumbs. That when we feel that aliveness in life is like our soul leaving breadcrumbs for us to remember who we are. And so when we have a map, like for me, hearing you read my map is just like the great validation of like, oh my God,
Mhm.
I'm in the right
Yeah.
path. And
Yeah.
what happens
Yeah.
when you have a map, what you were saying is that it just gives you a greater level of acceptance.
Yes, exactly. And you are really good with the way that you teach people how to use the voice in a way that you're not speaking negative about yourself, and you're projecting like the optimistic way of looking at things. And yes, we have time. And as women, the research is very solid. We as women have more activity in the centers of our brains that have to do with compassion, with empathy, with love. And all those centers are associated with higher awareness, with connecting to our soul. So as women, we really are the ones that are bringing on this new earth. Once we awaken, the men will awaken. And for me, my goal with Vedic astrology is to become so proficient that I can actually bring Yotish into the modern culture. Because, for now, society here, especially in the US, they're very convinced that one type of astrology system. I'm not going to name any names. It could be Mayan, Western, Tibetan. They're so identified with that they don't want to open their awareness to anything more exploratory like Vedic astrology. But trust me, once they discover the power of it and the power that it has for their soul's path, for their blueprint, I'm telling you, all it takes is just like one reading and boom, they'll convert.
Yeah.
And the same with men. I've had a lot of men that kind of look at astrology that don't really take it serious, but I always remind them that this ancient based tradition comes from the time where everyone on this planet was enlightened. It was during the Dwapara Yuga, from the Yuga cycles. The Yugas are just cycles of time where there's been descending waves of consciousness, meaning we fell from the highest states of awareness into kind of like the dumbest phase, which is where we are emerging out of, which is the Kali Yuga. We're emerging out of the Kali Yuga, going back into the Dwapara Yuga. Then whatever we do in this lifetime will determine whether we'll come back to the ending of that phase or we'll come back during the Satya Yuga, which is the golden era, which at that point, everyone will be enlightened. Everyone will be dharmic. But it takes a long process and it takes a lot of people to awaken. And my role is really to help bring the Vedic astrology, the truth, to the commercial or to the lay person, so that they can understand it in a way that it's easy for them to digest, because it can be very complex.
It is very complex, and that I think that's the beauty of it, that there's so many maps that can take you home to getting to know yourself,
Mhm.
getting to just look at what's in the way of your life is a great map.
Yeah.
It's a great map because all of a sudden you see like the one thing, the one challenge that is in front of me, even if I don't know my Vedic astrology. And if I can just allow myself to look at it as like, can I accept it? Maybe this is written in the stars. Can I allow myself to have great acceptance for it so that it doesn't drain my energy? The moment that we create acceptance and we stop resisting and giving our energy to something I don't want, and
Yes.
instead start to give our energy to what we do want, accept,
Yes.
right? So I
Yeah.
speak about that a lot, that it's about allowing ourselves to go through the challenges of life and at the same time take responsibility for the energy that we want to see, create, live, pass on. Pass on, because we are vortexes of energy walking. And where we go, many of us walk into a space and we get entrained by an energy. And I think that when you are clear on your dharma, and your dharma is just your soul work here in the world, and your soul mission and your purpose, you can walk into any space and entrain it, because
Yeah.
you know who you are, you know what you are, and you know how you serve. And that goes through cycles also. And there's a delight in allowing yourself to thrive in the fullness of expression of who you've discovered, right? To allow yourself to take up space in what you keep discovering about yourself and passing it on. The deep work is necessary, but what's really necessary is for you to pass on the gifts, the desires, your wisdom, so that when you let that desire lead and you trust it and you gain from it and you start to master the things that is showing you, it becomes your gifts, your wisdom that we need. The world needs you to be lit up. Be lit up, excited about what you're sharing, what you're doing, what you're learning. That, I think, is what allows a culture of wonder and openness, is how we allow inspiration, another word, spirit, to move into our body, to be fully here, right? It's not so much about ascending, but it's really about how can I create the space, the mindfulness, the practices, the following, whatever is giving me energy, the space, so that spirit can move into my body. The spirit of the
Yeah.
earth is something that you and I have been in deep prayer and deep medicine space, really tapping into this wisdom of the earth and of the cosmos that wants to move through us because our channel keeps opening.
Yeah, the key, you said it, is to create yourself or make yourself into an empty vessel, relinquish control, and really kind of grab the data streams from the quantum field so that yotish can move through you, so that great scientific thoughts can move through you. If you're like a scientist, or if you're an engineer, or if you're an artist, the next song will just stream right into your consciousness. The key is to relinquish control, right? Because the ego wants to control things. Relinquish control. Be in the state of awe, just like a child, with sense of wonder. Look at everything from, going for a walk with your dog, to going shopping or taking your mom out for lunch. Do all those things with such love and such grace that allows you for like this like receptive conversation with the universe. And then when you have that conversation going, you'll see that you'll get more synchronistic events happening. You'll get repeating numbers. The universe does speak to us. It speaks to us in symbols. So being attuned to all those signs, all the synchronistic events, all the ideas, and running with the ideas, because as soon as the idea comes in, when you plug into the data stream from the quantum field, you got to run with that idea, because otherwise someone else will pick up the idea. And so that's how it worked for me with numerology and Vedic astrology. I'm able to read a book on Yotish, and I'm able to capture that information, and not have to reread it thousands of times like I did when I was in grad school. That's how I know that that information it's almost like it's getting
Remembered.
downloaded right into my mind. And that's how you'll know, is when you get these like bursts of inspirations, these bursts of like creative like sparks, when you get like lit up from the inside, that's how you'll know you're in the state of flow, and you're in the state of like where creator wants to express itself through you. And that's how you'll know you found it. So I just hope that everyone does find it. For me, it took a little longer because, life got in the way. I got married, then divorced, careers. And for some, it's really, it's not that it's hard, it's challenging, but it can be overcome. You can overcome not having enough time in a day. Just allow yourself like maybe 15 minutes where you're really dropping into your heart and asking for guidance, and that guidance will come. If you ask with deep respect and deep reverence, that guidance will come. And how will you know that, whatever it is that you're asking for, it's really your path? You'll know by how you feel. What is your reaction? Feel into it. Do you get elated when you talk about that subject? Do you inspire other people just with the energy that you emit? That's how you'll know you found it. And that's how it was for me, at least.
Oh, I love that so much, because so much of the work that I end up doing with very successful, like driven entrepreneurs, women that have been, having the masculine pants on in their business, and they want to come into a more uh, ritualistic, more embodied way of living, is the process of dropping our mind to our hearts, of learning to sense the experience of being alive. And
Mhm.
there's a practice to that. So when we say being mindful, is that if we're full of not just mind of my thoughts, but great mind, great spirit, like in our body, that we activate desire through our senses. So paying attention, when I really love what you just shared about having the doing the love thing with life. Right?
Mhm.
Like when you're walking, when you're eating, when you're touching someone, when you like really feel it in your senses, because love is the most powerful vibration. Gratitude is another way of being completely in love with life, and letting that, like, how do I want to love life more? How does life want to love me more? And doing
Mhm.
that love thing with life is, I
Yeah.
believe, the way that we can start to allow perhaps the untapped creative pursuits, or creative unfolding that might seem completely opposite things that we might want to put together into one thing.
Yeah.
Like when we start
Exactly.
to follow the thing that is giving me that spaciousness, because when you think about the words that we say when we're in appreciation and in love and in wonder, it's like, ah.
Yeah.
Wow. Right? They're all words that create space in our system. So that's also our intention. And then we wanted to just share this conversation that I hope it feels like a replenishing invitation for you to remember that you're the medicine, and that the one thing that allows you to come home to yourself is to listen to yourself and listen to your body, listen to your desires, especially if you're a woman. You're tapped in naturally into something really powerful. Allow yourself the space to get to know your body, because
Yes, yes.
desire is expressing through it.
And I love what you said about the senses. You know, for me, I love gardening. So when I garden, I really enjoy the feel of the soil, how my plants look. It's such a creative outlet for me. And I really engage my senses. The same thing with cooking, you know, but creative expression could come in from so many different avenues. When I shop, I'm also really good at curating, like, you know, the right pieces in my wardrobe, or when I decorate my home. So these are all ways that you can tune into a creative outlet, or you know, creation can be expressed through you. Taking up a dancing class. These are all the things that as women maybe we don't make time for, but I promise you, once you make time for, you know, taking up a dance class, taking up like a jazz class or music appreciation, any of these things that will allow you to see the world with that state of wonder and that state of awe. Like I just went to the ballet, I saw Carmen, and I just like loved it. My Venus energy was on fire that day because you know, and that's what's so wonderful about like being a woman. And once you light that fire from within, that's when your soul is like, okay, I'm on, let me connect, let's connect. And that's when the mindfulness application comes in. And once you connect to, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to bring forth, your gifts, right? It will come through when you're in that state of fully present in your body, in the state of awe. That's when the magic will happen. Not when you're caught in the cogwheel, not when you're trying to make your deadlines, not when you're busy, busy, busy trying to do, you know, uh, your daily routines and tasks. Forget it. It's never going to happen that way.
Yeah, it's like the understanding that your energy precedes your outcomes, that the giving yourself creative space, and this is not just for women, this is for like the femininity in all of us, the feminine
Mhm.
energy in all of us. When you
Yes.
give yourself creative space, you allow replenishment, new ideas, you drop out of the mind loop, and you allow yourself to have newness, freshness come into you. So
Yeah.
oftentimes I'll tell the client, listen, you'll do more in the bathtub than trying to get all the KPIs done with like trapped energy, feeling like you have to do it and you can't do anything else or it's not going to get done. So to what you're saying is that when you allow yourself to be in that inspired state, in that wonder, in that oh, in that yummy, yum, come to me energy, you
Mhm.
literally become a magnet, because
Yeah.
there's nothing more powerful that a person that is in full light. And we are animals, right? We are, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we're animals, and animals are attracted to the light. So when you light up your own energy and you're lit up and you have like that fire that goes in your, wow, what's that? You just simply
Charisma.
start to move from I have to do this, I want to push, I push, hustle mode, into let me magnetize, like not even let me, it's like creating a butterfly garden, that the energy around you and your container is so beautiful, like your garden that you were speaking about. The
Mhm.
environment, inner and outer, that you're creating for your life is so lush and juicy and colorful that all the bees just want to hang out.
Yeah.
And so we go from pushing and doing to just naturally bringing in the right support, the right alliances, the right people, the right mentors, the right friends, because you're in your radiance. So allow yourself to be in your radiance, please. This is my intention. Kat, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our community?
Well, I mean, one of the other things also is that if you're still having a hard time with looking for, you know, that that thing, that gift, right? You could always get a Yotish reading, and the Yotish reading shows you really where you should be putting most of your effort in just by looking at two placements. One of them is the north node of the moon, which is Rahu. Rahu is the energy where really you should be walking towards that path. And then K2 is your past life attributes, the gifts that you're bringing in from a past life. So those two, along with the highest placed planet, which is called the Atmakarka, those two or those three things, those three items will give you a clue as to where you should be in life. So, you know,
Would you
Vedic
give me an
astrology for me,
example? Would you give an example?
yeah, I can give you my example actually. So my Atmakarka is Mercury, which is the planet that I have the highest in my chart. So I have years or many lifetimes of experience with the planet of Mercury. What is Mercury? Mercury is intellect, is communication, is our analytic abilities. So sorry. Our analytical ability. It also has to do with the businesswoman or businessman, commerce. It has to do also with writing, any form of like the intellect being expressed. And so I have that as my highest planet. So that is the planet that I'm going to use with my gifts. And it also represents astrology. So boom, those two things together. And Mercury is in the eighth house, and the eighth house, so sorry. I don't know who's calling me. The eighth house is all about the occult knowledge, like astrology. It also rules research, and ding, 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 I'm in medical research. Also, the eighth house has to do with other people's money. So I could have been like a wealth manager. It also has to do with things that are taboo, such as sex. Tantric areas can be explored through the eighth house. The eighth house is naturally ruled by Scorpio, so all the scorpionic things. So looking at my Makarka in the eighth house kind of gives you a clue as to why I became both a medical researcher and an astrologer. And then looking also at the Rahu and Ketu. My Ketu is also in the eighth house in the sign of Pisces. So the eighth house, again, occult knowledge, mysticism, all things that are hidden, research. My Ketu represents my past life in the sign of Pisces. So deeply spiritual, deeply in tune. Those are all my past life gifts with the eighth house energy. And then my Rahu is in the second house, which is income. And basically, the connection between the second and the eighth is you make your money through occult or research practices. And that's exactly the blend that I have.
Can you share a little bit of mine if you remember?
Yeah, your Rahu is in the 11th house, is combined with Jupiter, and the Rahu energy in the 11th house is beautiful because it has to do with network, your outreach. So you, with your line of work, your main goal in this life is to reach as many people as possible, which you will do through areas of technology, because Rahu represents, you know, mass media. It also represents the tech world, podcasts. Rahu is all about like the new and innovative ways of getting the message across. And then you have it with the beautiful planet of Jupiter, which is wisdom, expansion, spirituality. So those two combinations in your house of network, and also it has to do with your fulfillment of wishes. And then your K2 is then in the fifth house of creativity. So you come with a lot of creative knowledge because that's what the fifth house represents, creativity and romance. So you're blending the creativity and the everything that the fifth house represents with the 11th house. That's your blend. Yeah.
That's
And
me.
your Atma Karka, I believe, is also Mercury. So again, communication and everything that the intellect has to offer, which you are very proficient in.
See, it's like it blows my mind. I'm so excited
Yeah.
that we've gone deep into this and that we continue to have this conversation. It's like a brand new language that I'm
Yeah.
developing, and it's super excited to have you, Cairo. I want to share with whoever might feel the calling to dive deeper into this that we're having a retreat late spring, early summer, and it's a woman's retreat. It's a sacred feminine practice of coming together because we really want to celebrate that part of you that perhaps has not had a full space to come home to herself in sisterhood, because it really is a powerful experience when we let go of old conditioning that says that we don't have space, and we come together to reclaim, to gather in a circle of women where we'll be exploring gorgeous nature. We're doing it in Asheville. And yeah, the idea is that you will essentially have space to connect to the feminine in you that leads with truth, with her own rhythm in life, that you learn to melt layers of stress and conditioning and the pressure that keeps you disconnected from your joy, that you reconnect to your body as a temple and a compass and a source of your own power, and that you remember what it feels like to be held, inspired, and lit up from the inside out. So if you're interested in this conversation, I would love for you to reach out to me. Even Caro, you can reach out to her. I will add all of Carolina's information on the description of this podcast so that you can have it all. And I am so, so grateful for your time, for tuning in. Caro, thank you so, so much. It's been such
Thank you
a
so
joy.
much for having me. And yeah, there's power in numbers. So when we gather with our sisters, we become this battery. It's like all charged with the cosmic forces, and our prayers are answered when groups of women gather together. So being super intentional, if you do want to come to the retreat, being super intentional what you want to bring forth, because those prayers will be amplified with the energy of Sandra and the people that she's going to bring into this retreat.
And
So I
yourself,
hope,
because you'll be guiding also, right?
yeah, I could guide an introduction to Jyotish, and I will do everyone's main three. So their sun, their ascendant lord, and their moon, actually, and their nakshatras, because why not?
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Thank
and great. And I really love dropping in with you, Sandra. You've been incredible to witness as a sister. I see how charismatic you are and how driven you are, and your purpose. I see it very clear. And thank you so much for your friendship. And I wish you so much luck and many, many blessings.
Love you. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon.